Oh, my. Braverman has called for the Tories to embrace Farage. What will happen when Rishi Sunak stands for election on July 4?
Wow, that's such a legit accent.
I'm sorry, I was just reading my Times of London, TC.
Of course you were.
Just reading my Times of London.
Welcome back.
Yes.
Okay.
Merci.
Oh, jeez.
I remember I went to the UK when the kids were young. And I came home and I said that I'd picked up a British accent and I didn't know if I'd be able to shake it. And they were totally fooled.
And now?
Now
how do they feel?
The only joke better that I played on our kids was the time that I went to the ophthalmologist, and for reasons I don't remember, only one of my eyes was dilated. Okay. In exam, the drops.
Arg.
So we went to dinner, and I was like, I can't lose this. Like, this is the way this one's going to be. They were totally freaked out. Hello, Parks Casino. Wow, look what Parks did while I was away. This is amazing. They are now offering an epic $5 happy hour with great food and drink every Wednesday through Sunday at the Liberty Bell Gastropub, which is a great joint even without this special. $5 drafts of Forge Stout, Victory Seasonal, or Parks Pills. $5 glasses of Albertani Cabernet. TC loves that. The drink of summer, the $5 Twisted Tea Frozen Whiskey Arnold Palmer. Feast on flavor-packed $5 small plates of braised short rib sliders, hot honey chicken sliders, or rotisserie chicken flatbreads. The all-new Parks Casino Epic $5 happy hour. It's happening right now. Summer's approaching. All roads lead to Parks Casino. So it's the gambling, it's the entertainment, it's the Excite Center, it's those Joe Conklin comedians. Joe Bartnick. Oh, Joe Bartnick's coming back on June 20. I saw him there a couple of months ago. Funny as hell. ParksCasino.com. You got to be 21. Gambling problem. 1-800-GAMBLER. Well, gang, it is nice to be back in the saddle, as I have been saying. And rather than do the normal headlines, at TC's urging, I would rather deliver a postcard from London.
Come on, it's time.
Because I had an extraordinary couple of days. I love the city. I've been many, many times. I've had that privilege, albeit I hadn't been since the pandemic. I was in London with my wife. When we are there, we've got a set routine. Yes, we do new things, but we stay at the same place. We eat at the same location, and we walk and we walk and we walk. I did all that and more. And the trigger, the motivator for us to be there, really twofold. There were so many friends going from Philadelphia for the Phillies. And yes, I did that at Olympic Stadium on Sunday. But also something really, really special is the fact that our good friends, they actually introduced us many, many years ago. Our good friends Tracy and Shane Inspector were the beneficiaries of a very special celebration. They had purchased at auction a piece of British and I would say world history, the Victory Jug. The Victory Jug, which is an item that was given by Winston Churchill's bipartisan war cabinet in celebration of the first land victory against the Nazis in World War II. And they acquired this after it had been put up for auction by either Sotheby's or Christie's. I don't know, because a Churchill family member had put it up for sale. They donated it back to the United Kingdom, specifically to the Churchill Museum adjacent to the Cabinet War Rooms, where I know you have been.
I have been.
It's such a special, special place to begin with. And so in celebration of them giving this back to the British people, it was reason for us to go and to celebrate and to be entertained by United States ambassador to Britain.
Okay, but you're starting at the end.
I know.
You were starting
Well,
at
that was
the end.
the last event before I came home.
Correct. And I would like to start at the beginning. In
Go
other
ahead.
words, you land in the UK, and what's the first thing you do?
I went and got a head shave.
Within hours, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I was running late because the traffic was such from Heathrow that I had it very tightly budgeted as to when I could arrive at Trumper of Mayfair, which, by the way, was the barber for Winston Churchill.
Well, how perfect is that?
So I don't know when I started doing this, but it was many, many years ago. But if you take that red eye, and I mean really a red eye, from the United States and arrive as we did at 6:30 in the morning.
Right.
By the time you get from the airport, first thing I did, I had an appointment, was to go in and to get a head shave and a beard trim because you need a cleanup.
I mean, you're like so dapper here. Look at you. You got flowers. I'm following along on Instagram at home with everybody else.
Okay, so Randy
people.
is showing that photograph. That is me in front of Trumper of Mayfair on Curzon Street.
Right.
and I've just had my noggin shaved.
Right, looking quite dapper.
Just like smooth as a baby's behind. Yeah, and feeling great.
Yeah.
And feeling great.
Feeling great.
That was the first thing I did when my feet hit the ground.
That's amazing. And how were you with jet lag? Like, how is that?
I'm pretty good about it,
Yeah?
and I'm so on fumes, running, excited to be there, that there's no way that I could just allow myself to crash.
Okay.
So, I mean, we jammed a lot. It's rare that we get to go away. It's more rare that we get to go away together.
True.
Without the kids.
Yep.
So this was special, and we maximized every second of every day.
It felt like it. I mean, from afar, following you along, it really, really felt like it.
It's my town. I got to tell you, I love being there. and again, saw so many friends. Also just had really interesting encounters.
Yeah, you
Some
did.
celebrities.
Yeah.
And saw things that are bucket list items for me.
Unreal. Okay, so the biggest bucket list item, I think, had to be 10 Downing Street.
True.
How... who, what, where? I mean, I need all the details of
so
that.
So the closest...
when I was there in February, I did, I believe, what everybody else does and what you alluded to in your video. Exactly. What you alluded to in
You crane your
video.
neck and you look down Downing Street.
Correct. And there's, there are 4 guards standing there. It's all blocked off.
Lots of weaponry.
Way down the street, you can see the sign that you recognize from when the prime minister comes out to speak or make an announcement. Yeah. And you're like, oh my gosh, there it is. That's 10 Downing Street.
Randy, put that picture up of me outside 10 Downing. There it is.
And
there I am. I never thought I would get to stand in the doorway of number 10 Downing Street, much less walk inside.
Okay, so you walked inside?
Yeah.
You walked inside.
Took the whole tour. What
does that entail? Who toured you?
I knew the day would come when I would have to explain this to you and to the radio audience. And so here's the word that I want to use. Labyrinth. It's like a labyrinth. There's like, from the exterior shot, you think that this is like a towny storefront home like you'd see in Philadelphia. But it goes every which way once you are in there.
Is it fancy?
Is it fancy? It's very classic British. It's very classic British.
But it's not grand.
No, it's really not grand.
Not grand.
It's really not grand.
It's more like a warren of little rooms.
That's a wonderful way of saying it. Yeah, and Rishi Sunak, the British Prime Minister, lives upstairs.
Did he come say hi?
He was. Well, this is kind of interesting. He was celebrating. I was there on the 80th anniversary of D-Day.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
My mind was blown.
Yeah, I was there on the 80th anniversary of D-Day,
so special.
and the prime minister was not there. He was in France, and he left early, and it became the controversy, politically speaking, for the whole time we were there.
That he left.
He left early and came home and did a political event because he's standing for election and is going to lose on July 4th of all days.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So number 10 Downing Street was spectacular, and I have so many thoughts that I don't have time to share. Maybe I'll do a whole segment on just reflections on 10 Downing Street.
Please.
But I'll give you one of them.
Please.
In the same way that I've had the privilege of being in the White House, and you look out the windows and you say, geez, the people are close. Like, this is really, and maybe in some circumstances in 10 Downing Street, the people, largely tourists in that area, at Whitehall and adjacent to the Cabinet War Rooms and a stone's throw from Green Park and Buckingham Palace, like, you look out and you see people. And they don't know. They don't know tourists.
But there aren't tourists walking past.
No, TC, not on the front of Downing Street. That's what I'm doing a poor job of explaining. When you get in there, it goes every which way. And there are angles and views.
Oh, in other words, you're looking back like through the garden.
Yes.
And
I was in the garden too.
You can see people.
You can see people. Like, there is about to be a trooping of the color. Don't ask me to provide a more elaborate description than that. And like, the stands are there, and I'm in the room next to the cabinet room.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, these people probably who are going to sit here have no idea that the window they're looking into is within 10 Downing Street.
No.
The highlight of the tour of 10 Downing Street is actually fiction. And that is Hugh Grant in Love Actually sliding down the banister. Okay. Well, the real deal of that yellow staircase where every prime minister's portrait is hung, including Liz Truss, who was there only for like a Scaramucci tour.
I think she was more than a Scaramucci.
Everybody's
more than a Scaramucci.
And in the modern era, they've all signed their portrait. So, of course, Boris has signed his, with
Boris.
enormous flair.
Right.
The sitting room, which was the favorite of Margaret Thatcher, which now has her portrait in it. I mean, fresh off the plane, we were able to experience all of that.
And that is it all public spaces and offices on the first floor?
What a great question.
And then up above, or were you able to go to a second floor? And
like, everybody goes through the front door.
Yes.
And there's a reception area as soon as you enter, and then when you get beyond the reception area, and there's security, and then immediately there's a chair that you can't sit on, and it tells you so because it was Winston Churchill's favorite recliner.
Come on.
So you pass by Churchill's recliner, and before you know it, here are all the cubicles, almost like cubbies for kids at a Montessori school, except they are for the cell phones of anyone who's about to walk into the cabinet room. And then there is the cabinet room, and much like our cabinet room in the White House, one of the chairs, if you look at it very carefully, has a higher back than the others. And if you notice the way it's positioned, it's turned outward so that the prime minister can slide into his chair or her chair with ease. And like, I'm standing in the cabinet room, and there's a huge gold sword given by the Saudis in thanks to the Brits for the Gulf War. And as the story was told to us, they don't know where to put it, so it sits in the cabinet room. Gold, like I could do arm curls with it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I found myself, wandering around number 10 Downing Street on the first day there. Always a bucket list item for me because I was just so curious and wanted to see where the British Prime Minister lives and works and where Churchill, was during World War II.
I mean, that is extraordinary.
Yeah.
Extraordinary. All right. Now, how on
Go
earth
ahead.
did you see? Was the Brian Cox and Patricia Clarkson event the same event?
Yes,
because they were you didn't post them at the same time. You confused
I was busy.
me.
It was hard to
there
post
were
everything.
statues. There was Scott Galloway. I wasn't sure what came between them.
Okay,
but
so we went to the theater one night.
Okay,
and we saw Long Day's Journey into Night.
I looked it up.
Long Day's Journey, 3 hours and 20 minutes long.
Was that their final show? Though?
Second
Is that
to
why?
Okay, we were there on Friday night.
Okay.
And it closed Saturday, which meant that Brian Cox, the star, Succession, Logan Roy, anybody? Right. Did we put that picture up yet? There I am with Brian Cox. So show ends, we're walking back to our hotel, and I'm walking past the stage door. And there are adjacent theaters. And for one theater about to let out, there is an enormous block-long line for Ian McEwan.
Oh,
Ian
sure.
McEwan, who was also appearing in the West End. And there was our stage door, and there's like nobody there. So I said to my wife, hey, let's just hang. So we stood outside the door for 10 minutes, and out walked Brian Cox. Now, I loved
to be kidding me.
No, I loved Succession. And if you know, like are you? I see you're about to do something. You're about to play.
May I play the audio?
So here comes Brian Cox, and I have to be that guy.
And you said,
I love your show.
Oh, thank you.
Would you indulge me? Would you say it? I'm sorry to be that guy.
What?
You know what?
Oh, fuck off.
Like Brian Cox, like in the show, in Succession, that was his line.
That was his line.
And he delivered it to me. And then Patricia Clarkson came out and said, I know you.
I think she was kind of sweet on you.
Did you notice that?
Yes, I did.
She came out. All right,
she had the power touch.
She came out and there was like a look of recognition.
Oh, was there?
And then she came back to me and she said to me, oh, I know you.
Oh, hello.
She did say it like that.
I thought so.
She did say it like that.
I thought so.
So there was that.
So
there was Patricia Clarkson. Where is that, Randy? We're doing a little slideshow here. It's like Old Home Week. She was lovely.
Yeah,
she was great.
Seemed absolutely lovely. And the play itself?
The play itself was terrific. It was long.
Yeah.
It was long. And maybe it was catching up with me. By the time that I saw it. All right, what else, TC, interested you from Instagram?
Twin sons of a different mother.
So, as you know, I have promised you privately a longer Scott Galloway story. I'm going to save that.
Okay.
I think for tomorrow's program.
Okay.
Scott Galloway is the serial entrepreneur, the NYU professor, the best-selling author, the all-round good guy, and favorite guest of mine, both here on POTUS and on CNN. And he now lives in London. He and his wife are raising kids in London. And I knew that he'd moved there, and so we connected when we got there, and we had a beer together.
Oh, how
And that
fun.
was fun, and there's much more to that story, which will come tomorrow.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Can I just say, I'm enjoying the opportunity to provide, a postcard from London. Thank you for indulging me. Thank you for allowing me to do this. This is why I've been off for a couple of days. Thank you, Tara Setmayer. Thank you, Dr. Maz. Thank you, Danny Savalos, allowing me to go away with a clear head, knowing that the fort was being well held. So what else interests you?
Well, I was fascinated by how many friends you saw. And it had to be, it was because the Phillies were there.
Correct.
Clearly.
Yeah.
But like Notre Dame Ben,
Larry Seisler. Yeah.
By the way, nice hat.
Cindy Webster.
Well, yeah. That was at the Phillies game.
Right.
Come on, tell me about the Phillies.
Phillies was really terrific. Olympic Stadium is not so conducive to baseball. It's one of those multi-purpose stadiums. But how do you not go see the Phillies?
How do you not go when the whole town is there?
The whole town was there. And I'll tell you something funny about the Phillies. They're playing the Mets in 2 games. This is the 3rd year the MLB has done this. And it was great fun. But on the plane over, and we flew from Philadelphia, so okay, on the plane over, everybody's in Phillies gear. Okay? But on the streets of London, everybody was in Phillies gear. I'm telling you, I don't remember seeing a single Mets jersey.
Whoa, really?
It was a total Philly thing. The Mets are not as exciting as the Phillies. Okay, I get it, but the New York
did win one though.
But the New York metropolitan area is so much larger,
right?
And yet it was a Philly thing, like Philly passion ruled on the streets and in the stadium.
I wonder if it's
the Phillies were great.
It's a money thing, maybe.
We think the people in New York City don't have the dough to go over there?
Maybe the Mets fans are not as
They're
wealthy.
not as passionate. They're not as passionate.
Okay. Yeah, but I loved the videos and the
pictures.
Did
we show the picture from Olympic Stadium?
Absolutely amazing. And you were with Cindy and Ben. It was incredible.
It was fun just to be with old friends. And I'd literally Ben is Ben Haney, Notre Dame Ben, who either he or Maz was my first ever intern.
Maz.
Ben says Ben, but I was going to see him, but I bumped into him on the streets of London.
You've got to be kidding me.
Truly, I'm Berkeley Square.
No.
Yeah, with Ben and Jamie.
Oh my gosh. And Pat, his mom.
And with his mom.
Yeah.
It was great to see. And
his
sister.
Incredible. And his sister was there. Rachel was there too.
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Tell me about the Tate Modern, because I took a picture there with my Smerconish hat, that exact same place.
Went to the Tate Modern and put up the Tower of Babel. Of all exhibits to see, look at this.
It's amazing.
This exhibit are all like boom boxes to modern old radios,
transistor radios,
everything, just radios, and sound coming out of all different types of program. We were there for the Kandinsky exhibition, but this was the coolest part for me.
Totally agree.
And you saw it and enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. When I saw it, when you had done it, I was so excited.
British tourism should be sponsoring this part of the program.
What? So you went to the Tate Modern, obviously.
Wait, I gotta get to the ambassador. I've got to get to the ambassador.
Well, we're there now.
Okay, so the real highlight was that on Monday night, we went to Winfield House. Winfield House is the home of the United States ambassador to the United Kingdom. It is 12 acres in Regent Park.
Oh my God, 12 acres.
And it is the second largest garden in London, behind Buckingham Palace. We were there because Ambassador Jane Hartley was hosting a group of us because of the generosity that I've referenced of our friends Tracy and Shane Inspector, who were repatriating this relic, this historical artifact from World War II, which was a silver jug given by Winston Churchill's bipartisan war cabinet to the prime minister in honor of the first land victory. They'd sustained so many losses, but now it was the turning of the tide. It was in El Alamein, Egypt. This was in November of 1942. So the jug was given to Prime Minister Churchill, and it has an inscription on it. Damn it, do I have the inscription? Here it is. Egypt, 1942, to Winston from his colleagues in the War Cabinet, 30th of November, 1942. And our friends acquired it at an auction, and we're donating it back so that it will be on display in the Churchill Museum adjacent to the Cabinet War Rooms.
Wow.
So we're flipping. Okay, and the picture that's being shown to our friends on YouTube right now is my friend Shane Inspector. In his Instagram postings, he left out that picture. I think it is the greatest picture ever taken of my friend who I've known for decades. hates.
Speaking of dapper men,
he's got the jug.
The jug
is in one hand,
and a martini's in the other hand.
Well, what does one carry? What does one carry when one has the jug that was given to Churchill?
One hoping, perhaps one's pouring a martini from the jug.
A gin martini in the other hand.
What an absolutely extraordinary
and TC, the trustee, the representative, I should say, of the Imperial War Museum and Cabinet War Rooms and Churchill Museum is Lieutenant, that's how they pronounce it over there, Lieutenant General Andrew Figures. So at the event at the ambassador's house, the ambassador spoke, Shannon spoke, and Lieutenant General Figures spoke, and he was a real character. And although Shannon knows the history of the jug better than anyone, my friend doesn't have an accent.
Oh, yeah.
But the Lieutenant General does.
There you go.
So I collared him as the reception was winding down, and on the back patio in this gorgeous setting, I opened my iPhone and interviewed him.
Wow.
And he told the story from the perspective of the Brits, and we will air that as a radio and or podcast segment maybe as soon as tomorrow.
Oh, how fantastic.
I don't know. Maybe as soon as tomorrow.
Oh, how fantastic.
So
what a time.
Had a wonderful trip.
I'm
a wonderful trip
and
just like slept not, just maximized
so glad.
every possible second of being abroad. Yeah. If you get the chance, the Cabinet War Rooms in London are, I always say, people say to me, hey, you love that town. You've been there so many times. What should I do? Cabinet War Rooms #1. And now you can look for the victory jug. Okay? On that note, it's nice to be back. See ya.